Well, here's the new still rig running. Running pretty well so far. You've got to fiddle with the tap fitting occasionally just to keep the water flow exactly the way it should be, but it's pretty stable really. Give you a little bit of a tour here. Actually, the lighting here is not brilliant, but as you can see, there's a little tap fitting there that gives you some regulated water flow. What I've done is basically calibrated the water flow into a 1 litre jug at the start, and I've got the main flick mixer tap set to produce just a little bit over what I need, and then this little fella here, little wing nut assembly, basically just regulates it down to what I absolutely need. Water flows down here and up into there. Okay, water travels up this pipe here. Now what this pipe does, wobbles, at the top here, very, very hot, it's about 80 degrees there. That's where the vapour's coming off the top of the main distillation column here. By the time it gets down to here, it's actually pretty cool. It's sort of only about 35 degrees there, because that's where the cold water's coming in. Travels up the pipe here through the condenser, and that's basically bringing the vapour back out into a liquid, loops around here at the top, and drops back into the main fractioning column, the actual reflux column. Now, as you can see at the bottom, sort of down here, that's where the vapour is actually coming off the boiler vessel. It goes through a series of packed ceramic beads inside there, which gives the reflux action, and eventually comes out of the top here. Only pure alcohol vapour is left here, which is then transferred across into this condenser column, comes down to the bottom here, and then out this pipe here over on the side, this solid white pipe, we have our actual alcohol stream, which is dropping into my collector vessel. And as you can see, I've got about 1.5 litres there so far. This is a 5 litre vessel. If I just lift this out of here, you may be able to see the sort of volume we're talking about. The sort of only drips, but fairly constant sort of drips. Be a better idea. It's like a very, very thin drizzle. It'll take nearly 4 hours to produce about 3.5 litres of alcohol off there. Now once the water makes its way up through here, around through this pipe, down through the condenser pipe here, it comes off at this fitting here, which has a little temperature probe in it, out of here, across, and it's currently dropping into my washing machine, which I'm really going to have to knock off fairly shortly. That'll give you an idea of the sort of volume I'm running, and very, very little. I'm down to about probably 350 ml a minute, because my water temperature in my tap at the moment is running at about 14 degrees because it's so cold down here. Really the thing runs sort of, it's engineered to run on 20 degree water temperatures, which is sort of pretty normal, so at 14 degrees I'm running an absolute little trickle. These little fellas here are actually thermometer probes. I've got one thermometer probe here at the output water, which is what I'm really looking at, and then there's another one up here at the top of the temperature column. A lot of stills, you'd really watch that very carefully, because you'll want that at about 80 degrees. That's where the alcohol vapour inside the fractioning column here comes off best and into the condenser column. But this thing's engineered, so all I've really got to do is watch this output probe and get it about right. And as you can see from the two graphs there, this is the one I'm really watching. I need to keep that between 55 and 65 degrees to get the water flow through the fractioning column working effectively. This one here is measuring the temperature at the top of the distillation column. That does work best between 75 and 80, but because this thing's been engineered so well, all I've got to do is just keep this bottom one where it should be, and everything works perfectly. Yeah, the rest of the unit here is really just a boiler. It's just a big container capable of holding 25 litres worth of liquid. It's got a drain tap down the bottom there just for getting rid of the sludge and leftovers afterwards, and a 2 kilowatt boiler in the bottom that just plugs into power. And one of the real joys of this thing is that I can basically run this now without much effort. I just need to come out sort of every 20 minutes or so and check that the temperatures haven't drifted too much. mostly because the mains water pressure is drifting around a little bit at this time of day with people taking showers and so on. If so, I just goose the tap on the actual the sink itself around a little bit. I'm talking just absolutely put a couple of pounds of pressure on it with the pads of my fingers, just to drift that temperature up and down by a degree or so, just to keep everything in whack. I can basically let that thing run there until alcohol stops being collected in the main jar down the bottom, because with the temperature at the very top of the column here being maintained nicely at 80 degrees, I'll get no carryover of water, because only the drinkable alcohol will actually vaporise at that temperature. So therefore this thing will basically just sit there. Any water vapour that comes up the column here, because it cools as it comes up the column here, by the time it gets to about here, the water vapour is actually so cold that it drops out of solution and comes back down. Gets reheated, comes up again, falls out of solution, comes back down. Only the actual alcohol vapour vaporises at a low enough temperature that it makes it over into the collection column and down into the jug eventually. So I basically just let this thing run now until I stop seeing alcohol appearing in the collection vessel. Then I can turn the thing off and clean it. Ultimately my washing machine, which is actually getting quite warm here because the whole thing's about 55 degrees, really that's getting pretty full now, I think. That's probably as much as water I want to put on there for a full load. So unfortunately from this point in, I'm going to have to flick this hose back across and start dumping this excess water down the drain, which is a shame. You can see how hot that is actually from the steam coming off it, because the stainless steel sink's quite cold. But unfortunately I really haven't got much alternative here, as I just can't afford to be putting that down the washing machine anymore, otherwise I'm going to have to bucket it out again anyway. So yeah, that's me near still. Seems to work pretty well. No gas leaks, haven't blown myself up yet. Only thing left to do will be to see what the finished product comes out like in a couple of hours.